Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we talk about nerd news that has happened over the past week since our show last Tuesday. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber. On Facebook and Instagram, you can find me as First Person Shooter, as a cosplay photographer. On Twitter, Burley_adopter, as a Twitter gadfly mostly, and tech journalist occasionally, and things like that. So before we get into our show, I'm pretty sure everybody has seen the big news, and yes, we're going to be talking about it. It's going to be the last topic. The last topic will not be the Netflix teaser reveal of Shadow and Bone Season 2. That'll be the next to last topic. But before we get into any of those, let's start right out of the gate with letting you know about one of the places where you can find this show live, and that is on Twitch. YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. This is the URL for Twitch up on your screen right now, twitch.tv/nerdcaliber. We'd absolutely love to have you check it out. If you have a Twitch account, we'd love to have you follow us or subscribe there, as we look to build our followers on Twitch to be something closer to what it is on the other platforms that we do stream on. Now, let's get into it. And the first thing is, it's very sad news. And that is that the actress Louise Fletcher, best known for this particular role here, Nurse Ratched in the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest back in the 1970s, passed away at the age of 88 in her home in France. And there's something to be said there that if you can pass away, if you can die in your home, and your home is in France, and it's a 300-year-old farmhouse, then that's, a good life. If you add to that the fact that, you won an Oscar in one of your very first roles, but also at the age of 40, after decades of television work, that's a great thing, too. Now, Louise Fletcher did a ton of nerd stuff, which not a whole lot of people know about. I think the best thing she's probably known for is this role as the Kai Wynn Adami from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Basically, like Ratchet, this is one of the most hateable characters in this case, television. This is an ultra-Orthodox religious leader who eventually becomes the leader of their entire, religious order, or for entire religious order. Basically, the Kai is sort of a pope. And also winds up becoming acting first minister, basically prime minister, for the planet Bajor that Deep Space Nine is closest to. And she's just a manipulative, Machiavellian, scheming, conniving, terrible person. Way more intricately evil than Ratchet was. Ratchet was just, pardon me, somebody with power over a group of people that were pretty close to powerless. Mental patients that were heavily medicated. Kai Wynn had power over everybody who believed in her particular religious sect's beliefs, which is a lot of Bajorans in Deep Space Nine. Just a really wonderfully horrible person, and played to the hilt by Louise Fletcher. She was also in Firestarter, the original Firestarter, here as Art Carney's wife, when the main character and her dad went to basically find some help from a local farmhouse. And one of my absolute favorite roles of hers is the 1980s movie's Brainstorm. She played chain-smoking, just no-nonsense researcher, neurologist, I think, that was helping Christopher Walken build this device that would scan brainwaves and actually be able to read your mind. And it's a wonderful sort of cautionary tale about science, But she's amazing in it. Walken is, of course, wonderful in it, too. It was the last role that Natalie Wood was performed. She died while they were finishing this movie. Not related to the movie at all. It was a accident on a boat. But it's a great movie if you get a chance to watch it if you haven't seen it. It's dated, but not terribly dated. The technology still looks pretty cool. And the idea that they're essentially recording this stuff on what seems to be a holographic, very thick tape, like a beta tape, but it's got a holographic reflection, and they're clearly using lasers to do something onto this tape. It's a neat concept, and with the idea of holographic data storage as a thing that way back in the 80s. Anyway, really cool design stuff. It's very sad. She was an amazing actress. She did television work all the way through her career. An Oscar-winning actress who absolutely was willing to do television work if she liked it. Some of the stuff isn't that amazing, to be clear. And she was in... Somebody out there, if anybody's watching the show, and if you are, please feel free to jump in and comment with your opinions on any of this stuff. She was in a TV series for 2 years in the mid-90s, 1995, 1997, called VR.5, which I think was either a Canadian series or a British series that never made it in the States. I don't remember it at all, and I'm pretty sure in the mid-90s I would have been all over something like this. Which is about, a VR technology that allows people to get into other people's minds. So, kind of like Brainstorm. But Laurie Singer, Anthony Head, Giles from Buffy, David McCallum, Man from U.N.C.L.E., and of course later NCIS, Will Patton, Neil McDonough, Adam Baldwin, Stephen Root, way early in some of their careers, like Stephen Root and Neil McDonough. But how did I not know about this? If anybody's heard of this, please let me know in the chat. I would love to, absolutely love to find where I can find this. I mean, hopefully it's as good as the cast indicates. Maybe it was just garbage, and that's why it only lasted 2 seasons. But anyway, my deepest condolences to her fans and, of course, her family. She'll be missed. She was a fantastic actress, a broad range of stuff, and somebody who was always willing to take on unlikable people as characters and knock them out of the park. And just as an aside, this has been going around Twitter and everywhere else, but if you haven't seen her acceptance speech for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, it's when most people found out that both of her parents were deaf. Because she signs part of her, when she thanks her parents, she signs that. And me doing the idiot, I don't know what sign language is, gesture. My apologies. But yeah, so she was from all I read, she's a wonderful person and will be deeply missed in the film world, if nowhere else, and I'm sure plenty of other places. All right, moving on to another ending, but certainly not that kind, and definitely a much more modern and different ending. This is, of course, James Earl Jones standing next to somebody in a Darth Vader costume. I'm assuming this is not one of the physical Darth Vader actors, because they're all well over 6'5". And James Earl Jones is a big guy, but, that's not somebody who's towering over James Earl Jones. But anyway, the news is that he has officially retired as the voice of Darth Vader as an actor. And the reason I make that distinction is because he has also signed over the rights to all of the recorded work of his voice as Vader to Lucasfilm and the AI audio company Respeecher that did the fake Mark Hamill in Book of Boba Fett, and I'm assuming the fake Darth Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that they can continue to have Vader's voice in upcoming Star Wars properties as an AI-generated James Earl Jones. Now, I hope he got a big, big payday for that. To think that he's... I mean, yes, they could have recast it, and I'm surprised that they didn't, frankly. There are plenty of people out there who can do a James Earl Jones impression. But hopefully he got a ton of money out of Lucasfilm and Disney for the rights to be able to turn his voice into an AI actor, a computer-generated voice actor. The implications of that, I'm assuming Hamill signed off on it somehow too, if only for just that one use. But the implications that somebody can sign off on their entire recorded work as a particular character to be used as basically a computer voice actor, that's huge. At what point do they no longer really need anything other than just some recordings of the person talking, not just doing the voice? And they start modulating the voice until they get it exactly the way they want. And all of your favorite voice actors are out of work. Something like that is going to happen. There's no question about it. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. If you watched those 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett that were essentially Mandalorian Season 2.5, and you heard Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker talking, there were points where it was kind of obvious that it was computer generated. Frankly, I thought it was light years beyond anything else they've ever done. I think it was amazing. But it still is not perfect. But this company, Respeecher, could very well just take... Because James Earl Jones has a ton of voice work as Darth Vader for them to work from. And could turn this into something that is literally undetectable from the actual actor. And big ups to Respeecher. They're a Ukrainian company. So go them, go Ukraine. Kick those Russians, Putin-backed Russians, out of the country. And, change the world of voice acting while you're doing it. Not that Respeecher is actually doing any of the fighting that I know of. There could be executives there that are, on the front lines. No idea. So James Earl Jones will no longer be actually acting the voice of Darth Vader. It will be a computerized reproduction of James Earl Jones's voice saying all new dialogue whenever there's a need for new Darth Vader dialogue. So again, I just hope he got paid like a ton of Disney money. So we'll see at the end of the show. Disney's been throwing around a ton of money. So moving on to our next topic. So this is going to require a little bit of explanation of what this image is. This is from a movie called Under the Shadow. The news really doesn't have anything particularly to do about that movie. It has to do about the director of that movie, who has been picked to be the director of a new Cloverfield film that has been set at Paramount Pictures, produced, of course, by J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot, and Matt Reeves, Drew Goddard, a whole bunch of people like that as executive producers. It's being written by somebody named Joe Barton, but the reason that I put this image up here is that the director, Babak Anvari, this was his first movie, Under the Shadow, and he won, it's what they call an art house thriller movie, and he won a BAFTA, the British version of the Oscars, for Outstanding Debut Filmmaker. He then made a second film, Wounds, with, unfortunately, Armie Hammer and Zazie Beetz. It premiered at Sundance and Cannes Directors Fortnight. Went directly to Hulu, but then again, that was during the pandemic, so 2020. And so he doesn't have a lot of stuff under his belt, but, first movie right out of the gate winning BAFTA, that says something. And also, this seems to be, according to this is an exclusive off of Deadline, and you know, Paramount and Abrams or Bad Robot has not said anything to confirm it. It seems to be that this is an original concept. It's being written by somebody. The last two Cloverfield movies, 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield Paradox, were both movies that were basically done. And Bad Robot came in and bought them up and went, hey, we're going to turn these into Cloverfield movies by sticking some Cloverfield garbage on, around the edges. So like 10 Cloverfield Lane was apparently a movie about a guy who may or may not be psycho, who has people in his emergency bunker, with the idea that aliens have invaded the world outside and he's trying to keep them safe, or is he just a nut job? And Abrams and Bad Robot came in and went, ooh, we could call those Cloverfield aliens. Yeah, that's it. And then Cloverfield Paradox was basically a sort of mashup of Event Horizon, the Ryan Reynolds movie Life, and the actual real-world Large Hadron Collider fire up, which would be what would happen if you fired up something so powerful it could essentially look at the beginning of the universe. Would it tear a hole in the universe? And again, that was pretty much done, to the extent that the people in it were wearing different patch names for the experiment as opposed to what the organization on Earth that was connected to the Cloverfield universe was called. And so the mission wound up in a couple of instances being referred to by that other name, but throughout the whole thing, they're clearly a different movie. And then again, Abrams came in, Bad Robot came in and went, hey, this could be a Cloverfield movie, and it sucked. Because of that, it was interesting, great cast. Both of those two movies, 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield Paradox, had a great cast. And then they just crammed that idiotic Cloverfield stuff on it. This will not be that, according to Deadline, based on the fact that, A, they're hiring a director before a script is written, and B, a script will be written for this. So it will be original content again in the Cloverfield universe, finally. Well, thankfully. Hopefully it'll be as interesting as the original Cloverfield was, and not as dumb as what they tried to do with those, or what they did to those other two movies, which I really wish... I wish there was some way to see them finished without the Cloverfield garbage, but what can you do? All right, moving on. This blew my mind when I saw it. Netflix, as part of its Tudum stuff, announced that they will be doing, or they are currently making, because this is a scene from the anime, an anime adaptation of the video game Onimusha. And it is being directed, or helmed, he's called the chief director, the actual director of individual episodes is Shinya Sugai. It is being helmed by Takashi Miike, the live-action filmmaker. I put up that scene from the anime, which they put out. There's a bunch of different scenes. They're basing the look of the main character on Toshiro Mifune. It looks a lot like him. The main character, of course, being Musashi Miyamoto. I didn't put up any of the stuff from Takashi Miike's live-action work because there's not a lot that I could put up on here. Miike is a genius. He makes some of the most disturbing movies I've heard about. I've only ever watched one, which is Ichi the Killer. And that was enough to make me go, yep, the guy's a genius. And I am not, maybe I'll watch Blade of the Immortal because the gore in Blade of the Immortal, it's almost cartoonish. Whereas Ichi the Killer is just horrifyingly disturbing. And I will not even come close to watching Audition. Yes, he made Audition. If you know what Audition is, it's one of the most revolting horror, psychological horror torture kind of thrillers ever made. Nope, not going to watch it. Now, he's made other live action adaptations of actual anime, which is really kind of surprising. And they're not like incredible gore fests like most of his own, created products are. But of the 6 images they put out here, one of them, of course, is a sort of dark image of Musashi slashing a guy in a sword fight across his belly, or have just finished in the slash. And of course, all of his insides are just falling out. You're seeing it from behind the guy who's just been cut, but all of his insides are just falling out towards the ground. And it's like, yeah, that's Takashi Miike in a nutshell. If that's the kind of movie you like, he is a brilliant director. And I still like Ichi the Killer. I've only seen it twice. I rewatched it once, and I was able to take it a little bit more. One of my problems is I watched it the first time like 2 in the morning when I couldn't get to sleep on HBO Max, or probably it was Cinemax, frankly. Something. And that's not a movie you want to watch late night, because you ain't going to get to sleep. The second time I watched it, it was like, okay, I'm still really disturbed by all of this gore and, other things going on to torture. But I get why it's considered a classic. Anyway, they announced the first visuals. They don't have in this article here a date. Let me see if the Twitter announcement has a date. Nope. No date on the Twitter announcement. So they've obviously got visuals. They're well into animating it. I hope that means it's coming up like early next year, or maybe late this year. But who knows? When we find out, I'll let you know. And again, if you are a fan of Takashi Miike's type of horror, violence, so on, I can recommend Ichi the Killer. I'll probably watch Blade of the Immortal, but keep Audition away from me forever and ever. All right, moving on to our next topic. So this is an image of Reed Richards from his appearance in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and this has absolutely nothing to do with the casting of Reed Richards, but it is about the movie Fantastic Four, and that is they finally named writers. Jeff Kaplan and Ian Springer. And I got to say, this concerns me because these people have zero actual screenwriting made credit. According to Deadline, and again, this is a Deadline exclusive, and Marvel is not saying for sure that these are the writers. They are, Deadline says, as for Kaplan and Springer, while new to the scene, the writing duo is one of the hottest screenwriter teams in town, having sold a number of specs. So in other words, these are scripts that they just wrote and then put on the market. In the past year, one of those high-profile projects is the Warner Brothers comedy, Disaster Wedding, which recently landed Palm Springs Helmer Marks Barbacow to direct. Now, Palm Springs was, from what I've read and all the reviews, very funny. And, but this person, Barbacow, is not associated with the Fantastic Four stuff, and nor did the two people who are writing the Fantastic Four movie write Palm Springs. They have written just a bunch of movies that are not yet made. And I gotta wonder, I applaud Marvel's decision in most cases to go with innovative new filmmakers and creators, because a lot of times it works. We'll see upcoming how it works with Matt Shankman, who was the showrunner, and that means one of the primary writers as well, of WandaVision. But this is one of your longest storied, most anticipated franchises. Everybody wanted to know when Marvel was going to get the rights back to the Fantastic Four. almost as much as they wanted to know that about the X-Men. So putting this in the hands of two people who literally have not had a movie made yet, I mean, Marvel has script doctors, and and who knows what will happen to this when it finally gets to the point where it's being made into a movie. And maybe they'll put it in the hands of an auteur director who, rewrites half the script. Or maybe these guys are geniuses, and the reason they're the hottest duo in Hollywood right now is because their scripts are absolutely outstanding. I'm concerned. Put it that way. I want a Fantastic Four movie that is every bit as good as the intro to the Avengers was. Not sure that I'm going to get that. So, I mean, fingers crossed. And again, this we already know that this is going to be launching Phase 5. So, we know the date that the movie will be coming out. They've got plenty of time to work on the script. He says, kick off Phase 6, I'm sorry, in November 8th, 2024. So, yeah, let's hope. All right, moving on to our next to the last topic. This is one of the scenes, a screen grab from the teaser that Netflix also put out for Season 2 of Shadow and Bone. I really liked the first season of Shadow and Bone. I thought it was a really good series. I've never read the book, so I don't know anything about the adaptation. But my friends who have read the books and are really excited about it absolutely thought it was a good adaptation. Even if it did pull things from the first book and the first book of a second series and mash those kind of up to introduce different characters. But the casting was really good. The setting is fantastic. That they did an excellent job of pulling that off. But Leigh Bardugo's world in those novels is innovative and interesting and different compared to so much of what is out there for borderline-ish young adult. It's kind of, I would say, targeting the same audience and market as the Hunger Games, but it's still very, very interesting and creative world. More so, I would say, than the Hunger Games. So what they are speculating in here, based on what they've seen, so the first series or first season was from the first book, Shadow and Bone, and then the first book of the duology set later called Six of Crows. And they're assuming that this will adapt the events of the second book, Siege and Storm, with more material from that second series of books. So we get to see, and here he is in the middle here. This is Nikolai Lantsov. The actor is Patrick Gibson, the one in the middle here, who plays a privateer named Sturmhound. And flanking him are apparently like two of the absolute fan favorite characters in all the books. Twins that are part of his crew, Tolya and Tamar Yulbatar. They look very interesting. They're apparently very, like I said, very well-liked or very fan favorite characters from the series. But we get to see, most of the people from the original season back, including Ben Barnes, as Kerrigan, General Kerrigan, where, of course it seemed like he was killed at the end. Yeah, he wasn't. They're not going to waste that kind of character. And I'm assuming the books didn't either. So if you haven't seen it and you're a fan of the first season of Shadow and Bone, go check it out. It's really cool. Makes me very excited. It does not have a specific date. They did say that production on the filming has wrapped back in June. But when that means we'll get to see the season 2, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, though. It looks really good. All right, folks, here it is. You've seen it. I've seen it a bunch of times. Ryan Reynolds, the genius marketing wizard Ryan Reynolds, put out on all of his social media mid-afternoon, late afternoon actually, this a video that includes this scene right here talking about Deadpool 3. And this is a spoiler. If you haven't seen the video, it's I almost hate spoiling this, but the news is too big. He confirms, and you can see it, although you can't actually tell that you're seeing it, in this scene right here, that Hugh Jackman will be coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Wolverine in Deadpool 3. Now, you don't actually see Jackman. I mean, it kind of looks like him, but it could be anybody of roughly that build, and they just styled his hair that way, who walks out of focus in the background and then up the stairs. And in the video, Reynolds says, Hugh, put it this way, hey Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time? As he's walking behind him, and then as he's starting to go up the stairs, he says that, as you can see in the screen grab there. Yeah, sure, Ryan. This has been confirmed by director Sean Levy. It's been confirmed by Hugh Jackman in their Twitter feeds and probably their other social media. This is happening. And it ends with one of the best song, not parodies, it's actually a straight up song. They changed the lyrics a little bit in the caption, ever done. The greatest promotional marketer on the planet is not a promotional marketing executive, it's an actor, Ryan Reynolds. The only 2 times you see him in this video in a Deadpool suit that is not taken from a previous scene in one of the movies, it's in this suit. He is in the gray X-Force suit, or something very much like the gray X-Force suit. And that means with Wolverine in the movie and the gray suit, I'm really hoping they're going to be doing the X-Force story cycle about Kid Apocalypse. And if they do, I've already put this tweet out to Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds. Cast Walker Scobell as Kid Apocalypse. He was fantastic in the Atom Project. Up against Ryan Reynolds, I think he would just nail it. But maybe they're not doing that. Frankly, the superheroes having to decide whether to save a kid or not storyline it kind of reflects a little bit of the Atom Project, but it also has, it's been done before. It was kind of done in Deadpool 2, frankly. So they may not go down that path, and it may not be an X-Force thing. They may just decide to go with the gray uniform because it looks cool. But boy, wouldn't that be an amazing way to just sort of introduce the X-Men? If just suddenly they're there, I'm sure they'll have an explanation for it, but in the Deadpool movie, Deadpool's going to look at the screen and go, writers, right? We know when it's happening. This is a clear announcement. This was on the Disney list of unnamed movies, September 6th, 2024. So I'm putting it out there right now. CDC, figure out a way to make absolutely sure that this COVID pandemic is completely under control, that COVID is under control, that it's essentially like the flu. We get our seasonal shots or however it's handled. Because I want to go see this in a big theater. And I'm still not doing that now. There's no way. I was just watching a video for Transport Evolved. It's one of my favorite electric car channels on YouTube. And they were apologizing for having a slow release schedule over the last couple of weeks. They went to a show for electric transportation, and they were masked, just with cloth masks and not N95, and everybody on their staff that went to that show got COVID. I'm not going into a theater. with a couple of hundred of my not closest friends who are not wearing masks, and certainly not N95 masks, until we've got this figured out. So, yeah. Get it licked, CDC. Biden was wrong. The pandemic isn't over. Or, I mean, maybe technically as a pandemic it's over, but deaths from COVID are not over. And they are not constrained to the point that they really should be in any way, shape, or form. So, and that's usually my kind of rant at the end of the show when I talk about stay safe and conventions and so on. So please, folks out there, that's the last topic. Thank you for joining us on the show. We'll see you at an upcoming show next Tuesday or an upcoming convention. In the meantime, please be safe out there. Please do wear an N95 mask whenever you're in a large crowd of strangers with bad airflow. Just do it. Just be safe. It's the smart and right thing to do. And on that note, the smart and right thing to do, well, it might be not the right thing, but certainly would be the smart thing, would be for you to go check out our Patreon page. If you have a Patreon account and you would like to do so, and you would like to actually support us, patreon.com/nerdcaliber. That's where you can find it. We'd love to have you. So please do stop by, check it out. Just costs $2 a month for the lowest tier. And it's basically just, hi, we want to support Nerd Caliber and help you get to more cons. And that's what we use the money for. So thank you, folks. Have a safe week. Have a fun weekend. And we will see you at an upcoming show or an upcoming con. Good night and bye.